Hello everybody and welcome to Endzone, a world apart, a very promising looking survival strategy simulation city building game, kind of like similar to Surviving the Aftermath, but the focus is on other things. Surviving the Aftermath, for example, focuses on a world map and exploration, where this game really focuses against your fight against nature itself, similar to Frostpunk. And this is really interesting. It has beautiful graphics, it receives a lot of updates on a monthly basis that really push the game forward. So I think it's time for a new Let's Play. I hope you're going to enjoy this one. Let's create a new game. And we're going to play in the survival modes and the kind of like hard settings. You're playing on a randomly generated map every time. And well, you just basically try to survive. Let's get going. Alrighty, and here we are on a new map. This looks like a good place to settle. You know what we learn in the Endzone, basic needs come first and foremost. We have to build a water and food supply, and then let's build ourselves a home. Righto, so let's just have a look around. Here we are on this map. Nice map, I gotta say that. We got a lake here, we got a lake here. In the middle we are ourselves with a little bus. I guess with this bus we drove here. There are our settlers, and they all have different names, needs, education, stuff like that. Children we have as well, so we have the adult population and the children population. Up here we can see we do have some water, food, wood, scraps, tools, and radiation protection supplies. And with that we basically have to build something up. Now the game has been vastly improved with the updates. We do have now also some researching to do, stuff like that. Stuff is not unlocked anymore from the beginning. But with that, I think let's get cracking. First of all, we do need a well. So I do have several strategies. One would be to take the water from the lakes themselves, but we get the first droughts, so minor catastrophes, relatively quickly. So having a well makes a lot of sense to me because they can produce water even during droughts. And that is exactly what we want. So let's have our first well, I guess around the, or just behind the bus here. And oh, we can also see that there is some minor radiation in this area. So we might just get rid of that as well. In this case here, it's here. So people will then, if they have the time, get rid of this radiation here as well, right? So radiation you have on the map, and depending where it is, it makes your people sick. And you need to protect your people, of course, against this. So the well is the first thing, because my water supply is rather low, and we do need to get this one up. It needs 30 scraps. I'm going to build a second well right away. It needs to be a bit further away from the other well, so as we can see, to keep the efficiency high. Let's have this well just where we have this storage depot ruin here. That is a good thing. Now, the two wells are being built. Let's also gather some wood. I'm going to gather the wood right here, that is beside my settlement. We're also going to gather some scraps, so that we have 75 scraps in this area that I'm going to gather. Some plants, of course, so for eating, and herbs. And with that, that's basically it. My people now start to move to their tasks. We also have our professional or work order task here. So as we can see, 2 well keepers would be possible now, because these wells do require workforce. We got 10 settlers. They're doing the tasks now, getting rid of radiation. So that is their first task. Now, while those guys are doing their job here, chopping down some wood, we can also see that we are now in day 1. That is kind of like season 1. And we have a weather forecast, which is very important for us. The weather forecast tells us when it's raining, when it's not raining, when there's a catastrophe coming like a drought. We also have sandstorms, for example, that we need to protect ourselves against. And from my experience, well, the drought is coming rather quickly. Rain is important to wash away the radiation, as we can see. It's raining right now, so the radiation is getting washed away in that area, so we don't need to remove the radiation ourselves here. Right, so that is something that my settlers, well, don't have to do. And it's a rather dark and dreary day here. My settlers are doing what they need. I'm going to assign now 2 builders, so they have the order of building those wells. We don't need anything else for now. The wells are the priority. I cannot do much else anyway. We can also see the happiness here. This one needs to stay high, so my people keep productivity high. That we can see my radiation levels and my health levels of my colony. Very important. Now, as we can see, people are delivering the resources, the scrap, to the wells. There we're building the first one. We can also start with a little dirt road right away. So I'm going to start building some roads. They, of course, increase the speed of which people can travel on. That would be something. And we don't have any housing yet, so housing might also be something. But let's rather go for some, fishing. For our first basic food supply. We have a lake here, so having a fisher here makes a lot of sense to me that we have that now. Also, a gatherer cabin might be a good thing, so that people can gather some herbs and plants, and that is something, let's just see. Down here we would have a nice, forest. Let's have this one here. There we have our gatherer cabin, and perhaps a hunting lodge. Do we have some game here? We also have some game. I don't think we need that much food though, right? So water is more important. We're down to 500 water there. Let's assign the first guy here to the well. So the well is now producing water for us. The well has its own water tank. This can fill up to 350 per well. That is really important because if there's a drought, we have to use this water tank for our water supplies. And yeah, the well is then leveling or filling up now this tank there. There we have the second well. And let's assign another worker to this one there right away. It's getting nighttime of the first day. There's some buffalo cows roaming around here. We could hunt them down. Let's just check my tasks there as well. Do we still have some scrap around it? 20 scraps are still left here. This one, as we can see, is running out of wood soon. So the task is only a temporary thing until you have some production. Alright, we have these buildings now. Next up, I would like to go for... let's go for some basic housing. Only costs a bit of wood there. Let's have the housing. Let's just see where we could have our town. So as we can see, we got these things here. I might have my industrial district here so that I can have my houses in this area, or especially down here. This might make a good thing here, right? Having the houses and the settlers here, and more or less my industry more to the north or more to the south. Down here, difficult decision there. What is that, by the way? A house ruin? Alright, so we got also some ruins, of course. This one here, greenhouse ruin, for example, this is actually a quest or an expedition. This is added with one of the updates, so we can send expeditions to these ruins then and find something out of it. Alrighty, the next day is dawning, day 2. While we still gather some resources there, let's also start with the first housing. There we have them now. 3 of them I think is good for starters. So let's just see that we place them like so along the road then that we have here. Let's also have then the dirt road continue into this direction, and also a dirt road continuing in this direction. So I guess I want to have my housing then here, my main settlement with all the service buildings that we're going to add, and up here we're going to have then more or less the industry, because we also have lots of forests and game that we can hunt, and yeah, scrap piles. That is a good thing. Down here we don't have that much of it. Oh, there's a train rack. This is looking pretty cool. Nice train rack there. It has 200 scraps on board. That might be very good for our scrapyard then. Alright, new day. People are delivering the resources. Let's just check. We still have 6 settlers. As we can see, water supply is stabilizing a bit, so it's going up again. And we're still continuing now to manually remove scrap and wood and also some herbs. Food supply, well, we do have now a fishing hut. So for the fishing hut, we can now put the first, I think, 2 fishers. Let's make, do we have a gatherer hut finished now? Yeah, gatherer hut is finished too. Let's have 2 gatherers and 2 fishers for now, and they can get us the first food supply in. I love how detailed the buildings are. Beautiful. Lots of game here. We do need a hunter then as well. And yeah, as we can see, we are 700 food, so these 2 wells are doing a nice job for my population at the moment. Happiness is thus also a bit high there. And the first houses are coming up. Houses are important in that case, as couples are moving in, as these 2 young adults here, and they're then you know, making babies. So we can grow with that. Now, scrap is going down though, because we need a lot of it. So my first new building will be a scrapyard. This one takes scraps from the surrounding area. It also reduces the attractiveness of the surrounding area. So we should not have it too close to any villages or to any buildings, right? We have a huge supply of scraps here. I think up here we have more. Yep. So this is a good thing. There we have even more scrap, like 3,000. So having the scrapyard up here makes a lot of sense to me, because we can move the work area then around as well. So let's have the scrapyard here. kind of like in the middle of nowhere. There we have it. It's not a permanent building though, so because once all the scrap is gone, we might move it further outside. So that is something to keep in mind. Also, another thing that is important is the amount of herbs that we have. So medication, this needs to stay high there as well. Otherwise, sick people can't be treated and die in the process. So that is something to keep in mind as well. I'm also inclined to go with a few more houses. They don't cost that much. Only a bit of wood, and they're very, very important for the growth of the settlement. So let's have 3 more houses here as well. Since wood we have plenty of. Now the scrapyard is coming up. Let's have a dirt road going towards the scrapyard. Like so. This one here is out of scraps again soon. We have 2 settlers remaining, 3 builders. They can continue building now. We also need a dirt road here. So dirt road is of course the most basic road. We can have then paved roads later once we have that unlocked. They look a bit more beautiful overall. We'd also have 2 roads here side by side to make this kind of like a main road, or a bit of a bigger road than here as well. Just for the looks of it, right? Having main roads makes sense. And as we can see, this main road here goes then right into the heart of the town later. Next house is finished. I don't think anyone will be moving in here. Oh yes, okay, very good. There are actually people moving in right away. There's a bit of contamination here. It's close to the water. We should get rid of it, because it might contaminate the water, and that is something we absolutely cannot have. It takes a few settlers there to do that. Let's just see. My tasks are fine. Plants are coming in. The day is over already. It's getting nighttime. And it's always important to have a few settlers, so without any profession, because they do just a menial task like delivering resources, taking care of the radiation that we have. Scrapyard, how's it coming along? The first wood, the first scrap is being delivered here soon. By the way, we also have tools, and they're degrading, so we do need to supply a constant amount of tools, otherwise productivity goes down by a lot. So the scrapyard is the first building on the way to tools. Then we would have the workshop. With that we can make then tools out of the scrap that we can have. So very important that this is our first building. Wood is not our biggest concern at the moment. Right, no rain today. That means that this radiation stays for the moment. So it's a very important thing that we actually get rid of it. And look at how we need to get the water. Or he's just doing some sport there. I have no idea. Alright, yeah. 700 water, that's still stable. I might actually add a 3rd well soon. We haven't gotten any new adults yet. So the children, of course, grow up. And thus we get more workforce then. Here, the scrapyard is finished, as we can see. So I'm going to remove now 1 builder. Oh, and there we got an adult now. And we are going to say 3 scrap collectors. So they're going to collect now the scraps in this area. And we can change this all the time. More to this area there. So this is where we're going to get the scraps out of it now. Very important to keep this happening. Now we still have 2 builders. We don't even need that. Let's put it down to 1 builder. As we can see, radiation is gone now. Very good. And I might just go for the next buildings. Let's just see. Should we have a main road here as well? Going up to the industrial district. Makes a bit of sense there. Let's do this. There we have the main road then. Kind of like. Very good. Here we can see, yep, the gather wood is over soon. So we just get rid of the... Should we get... Nah. Let's stop with the gather wood task now. This is gone. The gather plants, that is something we can still do, even though we have a gatherer hut. Nope, let's get rid of that too. We don't need these anymore. What I'm going to need though is a forest lodge now. So I'm going to build my next building. I'm going to build it over here because we get lots of forest here. And of course we can also replant trees. Oh, we do it here. Huh. We also have a lot of forest up here. Is that the scrap collector? Yeah, let's do this. There we have our forest lodge now. Let's also have a little road then to this area there. Righto. So 2 settlers still working on that. Water supply is fine. Food supply is kind of fine, I guess. We need to keep a close look on that. And this scrap here we can also demolish now. Let's add a second builder there, so the forester lodge gets built more quickly. And let's add the last settler here to the fissure, because we don't need to do anything else right now with it. Alright, it's nighttime again. 2 more things that I want to build urgently. First of all, we're going to have a little industrial district here, right? So there are going to be a lot of buildings added. First of all, what I want to check real quick is how big these buildings are. So there we have the recycler going around into 5 tiles into the new one. Then we have the workshop. It's a very small building. The charcoal kiln we also need. So I guess up to this point here, we could have a road. So let's have the road more or less here. Kind of like our... Or wait a second. We could have the buildings up here too, and here, yeah, let's do it like that. Here I would like to have my storehouse or store room. So this is where the people deliver the resources to. We have the bus down here, which is our main storage, but in that case, people from up here would always need to go down there to the bus and back up again, right? So they would be wasting a lot of time just running around, and thus we need a storeroom up here as well in this area for my industrial district. So these scrap piles here are going away now eventually, and that means that we can build more industrial buildings here too. And I would like to have my storeroom then just here in the middle. It makes sense to me. Before we do that, before we finalizing this, I would like to add more the first recyclers. So those guys here are taking scrap and finding plastic, cloth and metal out of it, right? So we do need 3 of them. 3 of them, I think we cannot place them all together here, right? So this would be going all the way to this side here. This is too much. So we might just have them on the other side then as well, because I really, really want to squeeze in my storeroom here. Let's do this. And there we have the storeroom then for this area. We'll need a lot of these storerooms. Also for food then, once we start with the farming, when we get our first animals, stuff like that we do need. And as we can see, my citizens or my settlement is growing a bit, so we do need a few more houses there as well. Let's also add a few more cabins. Of course, consuming then my resources again. Let's just see, we have 1 more settler again. And let's add another builder. So we have 3 builders now. We need to build these things quickly. And since we're growing, I would also really like, just to be on the safe spot, having another well for the water supply. And we can have that. Yeah, we can squeeze another well then right in here, I guess. Or we have more. No, actually, let's have one here. This is for the people that are working there. And I love the graphics. They're really detailed, beautiful. It kind of like reminds me of The Last of Us when it comes to the architecture and stuff like that. As my people try to survive on the 4th day. And what we can see is coming up here in about 4 days, the first drought that is happening then. A bit of rain now here still, not radiated rain. So we should be fine on the radiation levels. We are. We can also check how wet the ground is. That is going to be important then for the fields. And I do have 3 builders. It takes a bit of time there to build these things, right? Oh, the cabins are being built now. Very good. There we have the well, which is full. We will also need a water tank at some point. Right now I cannot afford that. Let's get the road up here to the well. And by the way, another cool thing is that happened here is that we have ornaments now. So we can then also beautify our town with a few things. But that's something for later. Right now we need to focus on the surviving aspect here before we can beautify our town. Now, as we can see, we got 7 new children, or well, I think 5 more children coming in here. And we can also see when they're growing up. So I can see that 2 of them are becoming adults rather soon. We also have 13 adults now. And with these new houses there, these people will then be able to move right into the cabin and produce more children, schooly pooping around. And up here we have now the forest lodge. I moved the work area a bit more to the north there. And then we can add the first foresters once everything is built, of course. Because right now we have the primary, or most of them on the building aspect. There we have the temporary storeroom that still is missing. And we also get the sign here that an oncoming drought is happening. Or there is an oncoming drought. We just need now this storeroom here. Scrap wood is fine, but wood, yeah, is going down now more. So that is something we need to focus. There's the last building now being built, and then I can assign all of them finally to these buildings here. So another well keeper is important. And then I'm going to get rid of 2 builders. One of them can still build the roads here. And the other ones, 2 of them are going to be foresters now. And for now, they're going to focus on cutting down only, because it takes quite some time to cut all of this down. And once we're halfway through that, I can start replanting some trees there as well. Storeroom is there, very good, so people don't have to travel all the way there to the bus anymore, to my bus rack. And I think, yeah, we have all the people now assigned to something. And thus we have survived 5 days at least. The drought is oncoming, and yeah, I just need to wait now a few days or a few hours there for new adults to come in. Happiness is also looking good. So far we don't need to do anything else except for waiting a bit and surviving and enjoying the days, and then we can continue. Stay tuned.